Before each call, guys, do whatever you can, do the research.
What makes you different? Do not end the call. Do not leave that conversation until you know exactly, without a shred of doubt, who exactly they're looking for, and you know what to look for that next candidate search. How long until I would expect an email response giving your feedback? Is it 24 hours? Is it 48 hours?
Welcome back to another video. In this video, Brian and I are going to talk about something that I think is really important. On one hand, it's important to be able to go out there and know how to get clients. But on the other hand, it's even more important to understand what to do with these leads and responses that are coming in so that you can convert them into high-paying clients that can fuel your desk and business moving forward. Got Ryan here, who is on our team, who's also one of the master coaches here at the Recruiter School. Thanks for joining us, Ryan. And what do you think about this topic overall before we get started?
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. And I think this is a topic that's not spoken enough about as much as it should be, because as you mentioned, you can get all the leads in the world, but if you don't know how to talk to the clients, if you can't close them, it doesn't matter. So it's really important that you know the right steps, the right techniques to use when talking to clients to ensure you can sign them, sign the business, and continue on.
Let's get into this. So number one, you are not doing your research, right? You have to understand, guys, when you're reaching out to clients, they're also being constantly bombarded by hundreds of other people outside from you. And if you do get that lottery ticket and you get a positive response, you're able to navigate a response to get them onto the call, and you show up unprepared, you show up like not as a partner, not as a consultant, but more just like someone who's kind of winging it, no experience, amateur. That is the fastest way for you to burn a bridge and turn them off. And one of the basic things that you absolutely need to do before every single call is do your research before the call. So whenever you have a call set up, dig in. Like, what's any recent activities on their postings on LinkedIn, on social? Go to the company's website. Like, what do they actually do as a business? Do you even understand it? They want to know who you are, and they want to work with people that can give off the perception.
Are you struggling with getting responses from clients? Are you an established recruiter who is struggling to break six figures and beyond? Are you looking to start recruiting part-time and you don't know how? Do you feel burned out and stuck spending hours and hours each day in manual tasks like sourcing and outreaching and feeling like you have no time to actually run and grow your business? I am absolutely happy to announce that we have launched our own recruitment, educational, and coaching program to help you on your journey. We made sure that everything I've learned in the past 10 years, the tips, the strategies that really helped me build multiple seven figures of placements on my own desk with some of the best companies in the world, will be included in there. We'll also be including things like how you can build an acquisition system that brings in clients every month to your agency hands-free, how you can maximize the probability of a positive close during negotiations, how you can automate and outsource your day-to-day operations so that you don't have to spend hours per day researching or sourcing, how you can figure out the new and modern way to scale your agency that minimizes risk and maximize your upside potential. And we've also included much, much more. The best thing about this is not only will you be getting amazing content, but we will also handhold you and be with you every step of the way to make sure that you are held accountable and you crush your goals. We'll also share with you our own tech stack, tools, and plugins we actually use, plus everything else we know about automation and AI to help you save time, work smarter, and not be a slave to your business. The exciting news is that we've actually rolled this out to a select few people earlier this year, and I'm excited to see them well on the way to multiple six figures, with some breaking $30,000 to $50,000 per month already. So if you're interested to be a successful recruiter that can dominate in any market conditions, make sure you click on the link below to chat with another member of our team, and we're happy to chat with you to see if we can help you out. Make sure you jump on this really quickly. See you on the other side.
What have they done in the past? What are they looking to do? What are some celebrations? Did they just raise money? Like, be able to just do some basic research, leverage things like Google and ChatGPT and other free resources so that you can just come to the call and just look more knowledgeable, because if you do that, you'll just be a lot more professional, a lot more credible moving forward. They want to know who you are, and they want to work with people that can give off the perception that you know what you're talking about and you have credibility, you're professional, you know exactly what you're doing, right? If you are unprepared in the call, as I said before, then kind of like how you do one thing is like how you do everything. They'll just assume you're going to be unprepared for everything else. Like, if you can't even do the call well, how can they be confident that you'll be able to find good talent for them and move fast? It makes zero sense. So again, before each call, guys, do whatever you can, do the research, understand their goals, understand the company, understand the team, even go to the LinkedIn profile of the person you're talking to, like what's their background, what companies have they worked at, what college do they go to, where do they live? Anything that you can also use to develop a personal relationship is super, super, super key here, aside from like who they recently hired, job openings and trends. Anything else you want to add to this, Ryan?
Yeah, just to highlight again, you want to be a partner for them. You want to be a consultant. You want to know their industry and their company just as well as they do. And so these companies, they don't want to work with somebody who's just, more of a commodity of, oh, I can send you resumes. They want someone to be able to say, hey, I know you're filling this position because so and so retired. This is what you're looking for. These are the market industry averages for salaries. They want to be your partner through this search. They want to know that you are going to be doing the right steps, taking the right calls, doing the right research in order to get them the best results. And if you come onto these meetings and you are like, oh, remind me, what is the product you guys sell? Or like how big is the team? Then they're going to be thinking, oh man, if he's not doing research about me, he's not going to be doing research about the candidates that he's going to go looking for on my behalf. And so to your point, Preston, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And this is a really big place where I'd say a lot of beginners mess up is they get so excited about the call. They think, oh, I'm going to talk about myself, my agency, my services, how I'm so good. But you also want to talk about them, their company, their needs, their industry, and how you can help. So just ensure that before you hop on the call, do a little research. It doesn't have to be a ton. Just maybe take 10, 20, 30 minutes before a call to ensure that you know all the fundamentals about what they do, what they're looking for, what are their challenges, so that you can come off educated on these calls. And that perception is just going to go super, super far for you in the long run.
Advice number two, you have no clear differentiation. What does that mean, Ryan?
Yeah, this is one that we had to definitely highlight because one of the most frequent questions you're going to get in these calls with potential clients is what makes you different? There are so many different recruiting agencies out there, from big box agencies to boutique agencies, and really any recruiter who wants to can go out and start their own agency, right? And so the question then becomes, well, why should I go with your agency when 25 other agencies are emailing me asking to work on the same position? And so you need to have a crystal clear answer to this question because I guarantee you, if you're in this game for long enough, it is one that you'll be asked many, many times. And so this is where, again, you want to be that partner for them. You want to understand, okay, what are they looking for? And how does my experience, my skill set, how does that align with that, what they're looking for? And so maybe your differentiation is I work exclusively on tax manager roles or audit manager roles or software engineer roles, whatever the case may be. Maybe that's your differentiation. Maybe it's geography. Maybe, you're the only, say, supply chain executive headhunter in Omaha, for example, right? In your city or in your state or in your region. If you know all the best candidates in the industry in one specific area, that can be your differentiator. Or it could even be your track record. Hey, for example, I've been sourcing the best software engineers for 25 years, right? I know that my database of candidates is second to none, and that can be something that makes you stand out. Whatever the case may be, it doesn't have to be one of these. Just have a clear answer to give when someone asks, hey, Preston, why should I go with you? What makes your agency different?
Mm-hmm. And again, put yourself in their shoes, right? They're getting bombarded with outreach messages all the time. And if you just for a second imagine that you're them, who would you rather go with? Someone who's just like blase, a commodity, just no competitive advantage, nothing unique about their background, or someone's like, you know what? I know exactly what you're looking for. This is my specialty, XYZ. It's a no-brainer, right? So absolutely please make sure that you not only think of what makes you different, but also you scream from the mountaintops and make it very clear in your messaging, your outreach that, hey, it's translated into their ears. Next, you are not building rapport. So this is something that we touched upon before. No one wants to talk and work with a robot, right? And no one wants to just talk with someone who only wants to talk about shop all the time. And they don't even care or even make a perceived effort to caring that they want to learn more about you and your background and who you are before even just, trying to pick up their business and take from them, right? So jumping straight into sales pitch mode and robotic, like I'm just here to like take from you and not to give you anything and not to really even want to make an effort to make a relationship. Again, huge way to turn them off, kills trust, and it just overall gives a very transactional feel. People buy from people and work with people in addition that they like ultimately, right? So really make time, especially in the beginning, to just have an icebreaker, connect with them. What is it about their background that you can personally relate to? Maybe perhaps you spent a couple seconds to minutes on LinkedIn profiles. Maybe you looked up their socials, or maybe you've noticed that, hey, they're actually like an avid guitar player and you love music, whatever it is, just try to sneak that in somewhere in the conversation to be an icebreaker, to talk about something outside of work. Because while work is great, picking up that job is great, what's going to actually make you memorable is like that couple seconds or a minute where you're talking about stuff that they're also really excited about. That's a huge part of their life. And you immediately kind of build that connection and that commonality with them. Start off the call with, again, best practices, icebreakers, questions, small talk, mention any similarities you noticed, whether it's the beginning of the conversation, which is a great place, or sometime in between, like the questions that you're asking them. Like make sure that in this conversation you have with them, you have some sort of elements of just being human and being personal, because that is something you absolutely cannot underestimate. And ultimately, sales and recruiting is a relationship business. And the more that you can to come come off human, memorable, and make them smile, make them laugh as two humans connecting, it's going to put you wildly above others who just simply don't make the effort.
Exactly. Yeah. And on to go off of that too, this is how you play the long-term game in recruiting or even in sales as well. Like it really is a people business. And so being that the fact that people buy from and work with people that they like, this is a super, super important thing to do at the beginning of the call is to make that relationship because in an ideal world, you're not just going to have this one conversation with them, pick up a role, fill it, and then, okay, bye, see ya, never going to talk to you again. You want to work with this hiring manager again and again and again for years to come, whether at their current company, at a future company. And so if you take the time on the first call or even every call to check in and say, hey, how are things going? Nice to meet you. Oh, I see we live in the same city, whatever the case may be. They're going to remember you so that years down the line, if, oh, I got to hire, oh, I can go back to this person because we built that connection. They're not just transactional. You really become that long-term partner to them. And I wanted to highlight something that I got from a recent conversation we had with a gentleman by the name of Keely Flood. And we can link to a video we had with him here recently. But one thing that I like that he did is he really wrote down for every single prospect or hiring manager that he worked with, just a quick couple of notes about things they talked about in the small talk section of like, oh, they're going on a cruise in a couple of months, or, they're having a baby or just had a baby. And, even if you don't have any roles to work on with them at the moment, still reach out to them and say, hey, like, how was the cruise? How was the vacation? Or congratulations on the new child. And so really it goes down to building that strong connection with them on the beginning, kick off these calls, but also long term, because if you build this rapport, you're going to build that relationship that's going to pay you dividends, not only socially, but also financially with more roles down the line for years and years to come. So ensure that before you dive into the sales pitch, before you get into the meat potatoes of the call, ensure that you talk a few minutes about themselves, their background, or any kind of icebreaker that you may have.
Next one, you are not asking the right questions. I really love this, Ryan, because I think this is where a lot of recruiters just drop the ball, right? You have to ask questions. You can't simply just go off of the job rec or just at face value what you hear from the hiring managers, because that doesn't mean you're just assuming that they've done all the correct research in terms of like the planning, what role they want. They've done either additional research on like what the market is dictating and if everything's aligned. Most of the time, I would say companies are maybe 70, 80% there. Sometimes companies are just not even close. Like I want someone senior and they're only willing to pay them a junior salary, or vice versa, or they're looking for someone and they're only looking for someone who has X, Y, and Z technical hard skills where that person just doesn't exist, not just in the US, but around the world, right? So it's up to us to really approach these conversations when picking up the roles as an expert, as a consultant. And I hope that to do that correctly, you have to be able to be in a market, in a niche that you're knowledgeable about, or you've just done a heck of a lot of research. So you can really come to these conversations as a credible partner, asking all the right questions, not to just to understand what they're looking for, but also push back and modify and make sure that you are collecting and picking up the role that you are ultimately confident to find talent for and ultimately to build and make money, right? So if you don't do this correctly, it has a downstream effect. It will just make your sourcing, your team's effort, your qualifying effort, offer just so much more difficult. So do not get off that call until you have a crystal clear understanding of the exact candidate profile that the client is looking for. So for example, if someone was looking for like a designer, a graphic designer, don't just be, okay, I'm just looking for like a graphic designer with 5 years of experience that has Adobe, right? You need to be like, oh, after this conversation, be so clear to the point where like you can literally just envision everything about this person's background perfectly, so that when you go to LinkedIn or whatever platform, you know exactly where to find them. So instead of just doing that profile, you want to be like, oh, now I know they want a designer with ideally startup experience, specifically in the fintech space, someone that has specifically designed marketing collateral and maybe like a website, someone that is not only strong in Adobe Creative Suite, maybe also in Figma, someone who also has done a lot of typography and logo, and someone who's, graduated from this college and this college, because I know these two colleges specifically are really important for the hiring manager, and someone who ideally outside of their current job has worked at, reputable graphic ad agency. Boom. Now we know exactly how to find this person. And that would just not have been the case if I didn't take my time to ask deep, deep, deep questions. What are some questions that maybe we can ask about the roles? Some that come to mind, right? Like, what are the hard skills? Like, where are other candidates that you've interviewed? Where do they lack? Where are the gaps? What are the years of experience? What is the ideal salary range, right? What's the ideal background, school, agency, in-house? You want to go super, super deep here and just be in data collecting mode, and just don't stop until you know exactly what you're looking for. So again, err on the side of asking too many questions. I'd rather you know exactly what to look for instead of leaving that conversation and be like, oh my God, I need to call him again and just figure out like outstanding questions, right? Like take your time and do your due diligence, because that will absolutely help you find the right candidates so you can move fast and make some money. A couple other examples that we shared here. What are the expected new hires? Why was this role opened, right? What is the most important thing that you want from this search? What's important for you? Intangibles, hard skills, soft skills, etc. So again, take your time. This is the meat and potatoes. You do this wrong, then boy, oh boy, it's going to make your life difficult. We're not in the job to just to pick up roles for the sake of picking up roles. I want you to pick up roles so that you can ultimately make money from it.
Absolutely. And one thing that we hear from folks in this space or when it comes to asking questions on these calls is a lot of people feel bad, like they're taking time for the hiring manager. Like, oh, they're so busy. I don't want to ask too many questions. I want to just hop on the call, ask one or two questions, then hop off because they don't want to take up that time. But if you take a couple extra minutes to ask some deeper level questions like this, you're actually saving time down the road that would have been spent either on, like you said, Preston, having to call them back later, be like, hey, actually, just to clarify, or also saving time from talking to candidates, sending candidates who aren't a right fit. And so if you know exactly who to go after because you took an extra 5 minutes to ask more questions, you're going to save hours and hours of candidate calls for people who you now can disqualify off the bat because you know they're not a good fit. So even though on the call you may feel like, oh, I don't want to take up their time, they're busy, you're actually saving them time by asking a couple of more questions. So ensure that, again, as Preston said, do not end the call. Do not leave that conversation until you know exactly, without a shred of doubt, who exactly they're looking for and you know what to look for that next candidate search.
I want you to be able to just close your eyes and dream about this perfect candidate, everything that they're looking for. And if you're not, heed Ryan's advice and keep asking questions.
Mhm.
All right, last but not least, Ryan, you're not setting clear expectations.
Yes, this is one that I think is also pretty often overlooked, and that is ensuring that once the call ends, you and the hiring manager are just in sync, in lockstep. You know exactly what the game plan is. You don't want to hop off a call and be like, "All right, I'll send you a couple candidates. Get back to me sometime, hopefully." And then you're in this cat and mouse chase game of sending candidates and not getting feedback, and it can get really messy really quickly. So you want to ensure that before you hop off the phone, you talk to them about, okay, what is expected from me? What is expected from you? How can we best work together? So firstly, when you talk about the recruiter side, what can you expect from me? How many candidates will I send you in the first week, in the first 2 weeks? How soon will I send them? Will I send them later today? Will I send them on Friday? And what does that look like? How many candidates can you expect to see from me every single week? Secondly, from the client side is what can you expect from them? Okay, so Preston, when I send you candidates, how long until I would expect an email response giving your feedback? Is it 24 hours? Is it 48 hours? Is it within the business day? Whatever the case may be. It's good to establish that cadence up front so that, if anything happens later down the line, you could say, hey, hiring manager, I know we discussed this cadence. Is there anything, like, what's the situation here? What can we adjust to make sure this process goes smoother? So you want to know from them how quickly can they get feedback to you, but also what type of feedback are they going to give to you? You don't want a hiring manager to just say, nope, no, thank you when you submit candidates, because you want to know why not? What didn't they like about a profile so that you can make better searches and refine your search going forward. So you want to be clear on what is your role, how often are you going to send candidates, how many candidates you're going to send, but also on the client side, how often or how soon are they going to get back to you and what type of feedback are they going to provide? Secondly, and this is one thing I know that Preston has preached for many years now, is that if there is a follow-up call that has to be had, schedule that before you hop off the phone. So if you say, okay, we're going to do a bi-weekly 30-minute sync to talk about the candidate pipeline, don't be like, oh yeah, we'll figure out a day and time later. No, before you hop off that call, say, hey Preston, can you pull up your calendar? Let's see what would work for you on Wednesdays, what would work for you on Thursdays, and get that locked in on the calendar so you don't have to worry about, again, chasing them on the back end, trying to get that call scheduled. Lastly is don't leave any room for miscommunication or assumptions. If you're ever sitting in a situation like, oh, I assume they'll get back to me soon, or they'll probably get back to me within 24 hours of submitting, that's great, but that just because you think that doesn't mean that's actually reality. And so you want to be just very clear with all your expectations, all the next steps to understand, okay, when we hop off this call, I know what my job is, I know what I have to do, I know when I have to do it, and the same thing for the client. They know their role in the process so that you guys can just have this well-oiled machine. You can submit candidates, schedule interviews, make placements, and not have to worry about any kind of breaks in the communication.
It's like dating. It's like relationships, guys. You want to do whatever you can to communicate, over communicate in the beginning. So all parties involved know exactly what to expect moving forward. And you want the 30, 60, 90 days, the first 6 months to be as smooth as possible. And the only way to do that is really communicating, overly communicating, and making sure expectations are absolutely clear. On one hand, you can make make money from a relationship that is not optimized. You don't communicate, you don't even provide feedback, and it's just so difficult at every step. Or you can do the extra, make the extra effort and make sure that every single step is smooth and enjoyable and frictionless as possible, right? You want to not just make money, but you want to do it with people that you hopefully end up really liking. And you can create not just a great short-term relationship, but one that can hopefully blossom into a fantastic, fulfilling long-term one as well. And that can only happen from being personable, setting clear expectations, communicating well, and making sure that you're approaching the conversation with the right mindset and focusing on their value, not so much what you can take from it. And I think all of these combined can definitely help you find success. So in terms of just wrapping this up, everything from doing your research to what makes you actually different and communicating that clearly, to then building rapport, asking the right questions, set clear expectations. It's all about making the effort, think about the long-term game, guys, and over communicating. And if you're able to do that, I think that your chances of not only talking, but converting these conversations will be significantly higher. And I hope that you can take a thing or two. So any last words, Ryan?
Yeah, I think these are some really good guidelines to follow. As we mentioned at the top of the call, getting a call booked is the first step in this process of getting a client. The second step is closing them on the call. And these are some of the biggest areas where we've seen some recruiters and sales folks go wrong. And so if you just take note of these, utilize this feedback and strategy for your future calls, I guarantee you're going to be having some more fruitful conversations to the future.
Perfect. Well, Ryan, always appreciate you on these videos. If you guys want to see anything else, please comment down below. But otherwise, really appreciate your time, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.